just listen to this whole passage here. It's full of those sort of kind of notes that make your head turn. I like it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Festival Song is from Jeff Rosenstock's second solo album titled Worry. That was released back in 2016, and this song was written as a criticism of corporate-sponsored music festivals, which is a pretty fresh topic on my mind, as over on Patreon, I just finished doing a deep dive into an album from the Lawrence Arms, and the last track on that album was all about this. So I asked my patrons the same thing. I'll ask you guys the same thing. What are your opinions towards things like Warped Tour? Do you think they hurt or help the punk rock scene? I've seen a lot of mixed answers on it, so I'm always curious because from the outside, I always thought it was this magnificent thing that really helped it grow, but I'm learning there was maybe a darker side to it. Nonetheless, for a long time now, I've seen comments urging me to check out Jeff Rosenstock, like a lot of them. So I naturally assume he's some killer bass player that needs to be on my radar. Turns out, he doesn't play bass. However, someone over on Patreon remarked that he's like the Brian Wilson of punk, which that's a high praise. I get the reference there. I'm a big Brian Wilson Beach Boys fan, so I'm very intrigued by the respect that many have for his work, and I also don't think I've really featured any solo material from punk rock musicians here on the channel, so that might be why I thought he was a bass player. But he does indeed appear to be a very talented multi-instrumentalist who fronted two other bands, bombed the music industry, the Arrogant Sons of Bitches. I see those names come up a lot in the comments, so I'm putting a face with a name here. Seems like a really busy guy with a fruitful career so far. So without further ado, here is Festival Song from Jeff Rosenstock. Pulling me in with the whoa-wows already. Okay, I'm sold. That's the review. Now let's go back to the beginning. Energetic setup, just voices, some kind of stomp clap things. A sort of electronic synth thing. Ooh. Wow. Man, what a rich, just captivating intro. Haven't heard a song start off like this in a while. And I was about to go into my whole spiel about the catchiness of fewer note groupings, repeated, tapping into that sort of playground chant catchiness that things like this have. But it started moving around quite a bit with some nice kind of lyrical phrasing, like a... this kind of thing here. Let me just start it over one more time. And I like the energy that layer of synth provides. It's this sort of like almost choppy effect. It's kind of percussive in nature. Right there. Yeah, that little part right there. I don't know, something really catchy about it. Okay. Nice bass slide up to F. All right, see what happens here.
It feels completely ridiculous that I'm a willing participant, gazing at the purples and pinks in the shadow of a bank sponsored skyline, unite against the establishment while drones transmit the images to a server farm in the valley for a culture that'll eat its own inside. Oh,
Good setup. I love everything I'm hearing. Bass is moving around quite a lot. These little stabs and fills. It's not just hugging the roots. I think we're hearing, I'd just say F major. Goes up to the 4 or down to the 4. So really going here, but just taking it down an octave. And there's just a lot of... So a lot of movement there. Rich chords. And what I was going to say too is I like how the root notes in the bass have now contextualized how that melody fits into the key. So he's here on the 4 chord, B flat major, but you still have that melody up here going. So it's kind of creating this B flat 6 thing, like. And every note of that little whoa, 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 whoa is kind of just putting a little bit of tension, not the nasty tension, just some beautiful dissonance up there, just kind of doing this. If I ring out this B flat, so all those notes just major 6th, major 7, 9. So I just like the setup here. A lot of rich melodic stuff happening. Okay.
Bomb in the valley for a culture that'll eat its own inside. Oh, there wouldn't be a friend if you were something. There wouldn't be a friend if you were something. There wouldn't be a friend if it wasn't worth it. If you didn't have something to think. Hold on, look at the
Whoa.
billboards that smother the air till
Almost sounds like 2 different songs. That was a huge step on the gas moment in the intensity. Really like his vocals. It's just the perfect amount of depth, grit, melody, just timbre. Really like what I'm hearing so far. If I'm just referring to the vocals. Yeah, this shifted into a whole different gear here. So went up to the minor 6, the relative minor, which is D minor for an F major. Then we went down a half step to this sort of diminished. I was almost going to call that a flat major 6, but it's not major. So we did this kind of. That nasty chord there provides a really just dark timbre to this section. Where did that start? Interesting note on the bass there, if I heard that right. Okay, bass jumped up to the G there. Band was on B flat. I think bass went up here. And I can't hear what happened under it necessarily. It's very dense, but if that's outlining this sort of this major 6, that's almost what was happening earlier with that vocal melody. Okay. Getting gritty here. There's a lot to talk about. Okay. Okay, well, I'm pointing to my left, your left. Okay, I'm a dyslexia moment. Over here, if you're watching on a screen, over here you can hear that little synth melody, very tucked away in the side there, outlining the whoa-ohs that kick the whole song off. I am so hypersensitive to how layers and little melodies are reused. Like, I just never used to really pay attention to that stuff. And I think this is video number 277 I've done for the channel. Like, I've gotten a lot better at just picking apart layers and listening to the not obvious things. And, you know, selfishly, this series has made me such a better listener as a bass player and a musician. So that just comes with how often I listen to the music with my undivided attention here on the channel, but these are things I don't think I would have noticed a long time ago. So listen for them, because they add so much to a song and you don't even kind of realize it sometimes. So I love the treasure hunt for secondary layers like that and how they maybe fit into the song. It's obviously that melody from earlier. That kind of thing. You can hear it right here. All right. Driving, that's a really energetic bass part there to be moving between notes that quickly. Oop, lost my camera. Sorry, this camera lately has just been stopping with a mind of its own. I'm not sure why. Okay, where were we? Sorry if you couldn't really see what I was playing a second ago. This bass part. So intense. Where are we going? Man, vocals are just tearing it up here. I love the intensity. I love the spectrum in which I've heard them go so far. I mean, just listen to where we stopped. Just almost screaming. All the way down to where we were, way back here. Just so love the range there in terms of Jeff and his vocals. That's catchy. Ooh. Yeah, there's a lot of little bass things happening here. They're very quick. They're very, I don't want to say asymmetrical, like they're not predictable. So, bass player here, I did get the name John. I just read it. John DeDominici? DeDominici? I didn't see the double C on the last name, so DeDominici? Not Jeff Rosenstock. He's not the bass player. A lot of just in what I call reacting to the energy of the music in real time. It's not this very square type of framework and how the bass approaches ad-libbing. Ad-libbing means just improvising basically within a framework, a gross oversimplification. Just riffing it, just winging it, just reacting to the song. I love those types of styles because they provide a ton of energy to the piece. So I can't say, oh, this bass fill happened on beat 3 the last time too. Every bass player does it different, so it's hard to stop and really talk about how each of his little moves here are interacting with the piece and the harmony of the chords and such. But I hear a lot of movement, a lot of non-traditional note choices in the sense that it's not 1-5-1, 1-3-5. There's a lot of walking and landing on those tense notes. You can kind of hear that here, especially when they go down to that kind of C-sharp diminished sound. Yeah, I heard that flat 7 there, which is almost like foreshadowing the chord that we haven't heard yet, but I heard it because I stopped on it. There it is. So we hadn't heard that chord yet, if I'm referring to the timeline of the piece, but you heard it in the bass a few bars back. Right there. That's interesting. That is definitely flat major 7, back to the 1. So dipping into F minor for a moment, taking the 7 chord, which is naturally major. Man, this song's full of surprises. Not even 3 minutes. I was just making the remark that the bass player, John, really leaning into the bold note choices. The notes that have a bit of rub, just really leaning into that. Some bass players stay away from it. Very 1-3-5, 1-5-1 type of thing. When I say leaning into the bold note choices, just listen to this whole passage here. It's full of those sort of, kind of notes that make your head turn. I like it. All that. Right? existing up here in this sort of mid-range.
Get the light in your pocket. Oh, there wouldn't be a friend if you weren't worth something. There wouldn't be a friend if you
Love this sort of room mic thing.
weren't something. There wouldn't be a friend if it wasn't worth it. If you didn't have something to
What a song. I really like that. And the whole listen, I'm thinking about this Brian Wilson of punk comparison. Totally can see that. If I'm just referring to the imaginative songwriting, some of the layering, some of the density, how some of the melodies and layers were recycled, it almost just has that sense of sophistication to the arrangement. So I'm a sucker for that stuff. I'm a sucker for Brian Wilson, anything, Beach Boys. I'm liking this parallel. I mean, I'm forever, that's going to be burned in my head. So I got to check more of Jeff Rosenstock out, whether it's more of his solo stuff, whether it's Bomb the Music Industry, The Arrogant Sons of Bitches. Both interesting band names, very bold, like his music and songwriting. So I'm finally into the world of Jeff Rosenstock. Again, this entire time I thought it was a bass player to check out. Turns out it's much more than that. So thanks to all of you for commenting his name. Over on Patreon, it's requested every month, but never quite gets enough votes. So I decided to go rogue and do it on my own because when I see it on both platforms, Patreon and YouTube, I know it's a sign I have to get my shit together and make it happen. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to support the channel further, yes, come hang out with us over on Patreon. We have a strong community of just super sweetheart people. I do full albums every month. They get voted on. We break them down. They're tons of fun. Really in-depth analysis of a lot of punk albums so far. I think we're on episode 23 or 24 coming up. I also have bass lessons, music theory lessons, tons of stuff. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.